Okay, so welcome to Dumb SEO Questions. Each week we meet to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. With us tonight we have Andy Wigglesworth from the frozen wastelands of Doncaster in the north of England. Andy is the world's most loved web architect. We don't see him a lot, but we're very glad to have him back with us tonight. He's an expert on mobile search. Um, with us tonight, we also have Daniel Negraha, the world's greatest programmer, and Edwin Yonk. Edwin is CEO of IDEST Host in the Netherlands. That's IDESTHOST.nl. And Masataki Waso is webmaster of wasaweb.net and also Google top contributor on the AdSense forum and the Google Plus help community. Okay, so each week questions are asked in the SEO Questions community. First one was asked by Manoj Kumar, who asked the question, what is mobile search optimization? Any ideas or reference? I know I said Andy is a mobile search expert, but the truth is that none of us here tonight can lay claim to that honour. I see Lucas Regala, who answers a lot of questions in the SEO Questions community, has given Manoj a reference to a Search Engine Land article, and he also quotes something to look up, rel alternate. I'm sure Andy Wigglesworth can tell us how that works, and rel canonical pointing to the correct desktop version, and RWD. What's RWD, guys?
Responsive web design.
So
making sure your website's responsive and viewable across all devices, which is obviously what Google wants you to do. And you get a little not a warning. It says in the Google listings that this site's not optimized for mobile and things like that. So, yeah.
Andy Wigglesworth built the dumbseoquestions.com site, and Richard Hearn noticed the other night that Google has put the mobile-friendly badge on that site, Andy. So you must have done a good job.
Nice one, brilliant. I haven't seen that yet, but I'll have to have a look for it.
Rel alternate. How does a programmer implement that? What's its purpose?
Usually you don't have to. I would have thought you don't have to, because if it's a WordPress site, it usually takes care of itself. Media on screen. That is media on screen. The media equals only screen usually goes in the CSS stuff, but I'm not sure about the rel alternate. I'll be honest. The rel canonical points to the correct desktop version. Well, the number 3 is talking about two separate things. It's not responsive. Yeah, passive.
Yeah, that's when you have two versions, right? So
yeah.
When you have desktop version and the different URI for the mobile version, and then you have to make sure you refer to each other.
Yeah. So
one thing I'd point out that I see a lot of people making mistakes with, and that is assuming that the images they use for desktop search will be adequate for mobile search. And you've got to keep in mind that people on mobiles on 3G, 2G, some are on 4G, but that's very rare. But they just don't have the bandwidth. don't have the ability to pull down these huge images that we're seeing more and more of these days, and sliders and so on. So yeah, that's the first thing I would be doing, is making sure I'm not serving up mobiles with resource hog type images.
Yeah, and the same with JavaScript files and CSS files as well. So if you can group some of those things together, instead of loading 25 style sheets and 15 JavaScript files, as you say, with slideshows and all the other little bits and bobs. Things like that help, of course. Yeah, bringing the speed down.
And the drop-down menus, if you use any mouse over, that's quite annoying when you're on a touch screen. So make things touchable, because that doesn't work.
Okay. Well, Manoj, I'm sorry that we haven't got a full complement tonight, but I'm actually amazed that we've managed to put together a creditable answer. And please feel free to ask again next week or any time it suits you. Our next question is from Niraj Kumar. Niraj has asked a number of questions of us over the past year. I see also in the comments in the SEO Questions community on Google+, Niraj asks or hopes that he'll be on our panel in 2015. Niraj, mate, you're welcome at any time. You didn't have to wait until now to ask. Anybody is welcome to join us. I mean, heavens above, we have Andy Wigglesworth. Anyway, Niraj said, once we have discussed that social media has value in SEO, but there was no clarity on the role of Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, etc. for ranking purposes. This time again, I am asking, what is the importance of social shares? And I hope you experts have some solid proofs now. Today, for the first time, I saw Facebook in a Google Webmaster report of links to my site. Pinterest has been there for some time. Does this mean that Google is now accepting the value of competitors as an SEO factor? I don't think that would be a part of Google's thinking, Niraj. And he also asks, is there any such announcement from Google? Please enlighten.
Well, actually, the links to your site include no-follow links. Basically, every link Googlebot has found, or a sample of links Googlebot has found on the interweb, and that includes Facebook, Pinterest. It doesn't really matter, but they are all no-follow, and that's quite annoying in Google Webmaster Tools, is that you cannot filter on no-follow or do-follow links. So it doesn't say anything about the ranking factors, what is reported in Google Webmaster Tools.
Okay. Anybody else? I see Bharat Thakari made a good comment in the SEO Questions community. He said, or he or she said, websites that have higher social media signals rank high, not because these signals are considered by Google, This is because those websites create content that's high quality, and hence they get shared and rank high as well. If you think logically, Google crawlers do not have full access to Facebook and Twitter. They are able to access only that content which is available without logging in. So it would be disastrous for them to rank a website based on partial access.
Yeah, it's the difference between correlation and direct causal link. There's a correlation, but there's no direct causal link.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right, Niraj, I hope that's an answer for you, and we look forward to seeing you join us this year in for the rest of 2015. All right, our next one is a little bit more our speed. Will Google consider this duplicate? He's saying yourdomain.com and yourdomain.com/author is shown as a duplicate by sitelinear.com. Will Google consider these two URLs duplicated?
I don't know. It depends what's on the page. If it's an exact duplicate of the main domain, then yeah, it would consider it's duplicate. Without obviously seeing a link. No idea. If it's an exact copy, then yeah, it will be duplicate.
That's true. Anybody else?
But even if it were exactly the same, that's duplicate. Is it something to worry about? I mean, Google would choose one over the other, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
shows one version. So, in a sense, is it something that you should really worry about? Probably not.
Yeah. And if you think it's duplicate, surely you should change it yourself and think to yourself, well, I shouldn't really have two pages exactly the same. Yep. You're not really doing yourself any favors if you know it's duplicated. Write some content or drop the page. Or as Tim says, no index it.
Mm.
Well, isn't that normal behavior from WordPress, where you, if you're only using one profile, normally it's called admin. The author page and the home page have pretty similar content, or the category page and the author page.
You'd have thought Google is clever enough now to realise that most people don't know how to no index the author page or the category pages.
Yeah.
So I'd assume that Google sort of takes this into account.
And if you're using the Yoast plugin, I'm pretty sure you can no index the author pages.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, I think yeah.
Okay, Shushrit Zemsi, I hope that's an adequate answer for you. Our next question is from Yasser Mohammed. Yasser has asked a number of questions of us. He says, hello everyone, Merry Christmas. I was just wondering if anyone has tips for local search now that the Pigeon update has been rolled out here in Australia and in other places like Canada and the UK. My site used to rank number one in the local search for lots of keywords in lots of locations, but now I am only listed in my local area, although still ranking high in organic search, so not all bad. My click-through rate via my local listing has dropped by 68% in 2 weeks. It might be a seasonal thing, though. Yes, sir. It not necessarily. You can't expect these things to be static throughout the year. If your service is massage, it might be that people just simply don't have time for a massage in the rush, a Christmas shopping rush leading up to the holiday event. Anybody else?
Well, the pitch-in update, Google isn't telling us anything about the pitch-in update, so it's a little bit hard to know what to do to fix the issue. I think they said we have updated the background, and it does affect the one box in Google Search, but also the search on Google Maps. What they are exactly doing, we don't know. They're not really open about it.
I see Tim Capper, who's currently on some special op in Liverpool currently, has made quite a few answers on the SEO Questions community on Google+. By the way, I must thank the guys that put in so much effort to provide answers through the week in the SEO Questions community. All right. Yes, sir. I hope that situation resolves itself all by itself. Here's a question for Valentina Huff. Where is Tim Capper when we need him? He said, Valentina said, have you implemented the schema for site navigation element? If so, where do you put it? Hard-coded in the menu bar? That's a question. Andy, have you come across this one?
I've only done it for breadcrumbs. I haven't done it for the normal site navigation. No, I can't. I don't think I'd see the benefit for doing it, to be honest. Google knows what your menu is. Yeah, pass. It's not something I'd do, or could see the benefit of doing.
Okay.
In fact, I don't even know what schema markup you use for individual menu items. I'd have to have a look, unless it's new.
Okay.
And you can also use HTML5 or the role attribute to indicate what is complementary and what is the main content. So I'm not sure if Google is using that schema markup, to be honest.
Well, Alistair Lattimore.
Saved us all.
It's like old home week tonight. Do we got Andy Wigglesworth, Alistair Lattimore?
Yep. We need Tim, but I think he was too hungover.
Alistair must be organising his mic. He had a storm outside his house last night, and a lightning strike close to the house, and it totaled his home phone and DSL modem. Okay, let's move on to the next, unless Alistair's just about to drop in. No? Okay. Here's one from Stephen Sicantelli, who runs Abraxi Taxi in Florida, in the USA. He asks, what exactly is a CNAME, amongst other things? He said, I finally have my Google Analytics reports now. Now, I'm not reading this badly. He said, now, how can I get Webmaster Tools verified, and what exactly is a CNAME, please?
Oh, I think you can answer this one just as good as anyone else, Jim.
Well, a CNAME, that part I can answer. A CNAME it's like an alias name, if you like. The internet relies on DNS, a domain name service, and if you have a website, you have to give it an address to match its IP address. So you would make the root of the site like yourdomain.com. That would be an A record, and it would have an IP address. But the www.yourdomain.com can be a CNAME or an A record, but usually people use a CNAME because it's easier to manage. And so you'd simply say that www.yourdomain.com is a CNAME of yourdomain.com, and that's generally how people do it. But how to get Webmaster Tools verified? Is he asking in analytics? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah. When you want to verify your site with Google Webmaster Tools, you get a choice of different. You get upload a file, CNAME. I can't remember. There's two more, I think, as well, isn't there? There's a couple. You get 4 choices basically. The easiest one's obviously uploading an HTML file, then a CNAME, and I can't remember the other two. So yeah, Edwin's got it there. The meta tags. There's a meta tag one, yeah. So the CNAME's probably the worst one to pick. So yeah, just use a HTML file. It's easier, and then you'd have to buy anything else.
Notice, Andy, we have the Q prompter working now on your screen.
Yeah, it's cool. That's very good. Oh, yeah, it's nice. Awesome.
Yep. We have all the bells and whistles, mate, since you've been gone.
That's awesome. That's good.
All right. Moving on to our next. Another question from, oh wow, this is a big one. Niraj Kumar asks us, what is the best way to merge 4 established websites to one website for boosting brand value? I hope Alistair's able to get in on this. He said that Niraj went on to say there are 5 websites, A, B, C, D, and E. A is the company website, and the other 4 are various services websites. Management has decided to merge all of the services websites to the company website. I don't know why management feels that they're better able to judge on the best purposes, but anyway, that's what happens in real life. all the websites are ranking well for different keywords. How to plan this consolidation so that the company website gains from the other sites' links and authority. Okay, Masataki has communication problems. He'll drop out and come back again. And we're all sitting here crossing our fingers. And Edwin Yonk just put in the chat, every question has Alistair's name all over it. Andy Wigglesworth said that this question has Alistair's name all over it. He must have technical difficulties.
Yeah, he's sat there.
It's like a mirage. We can see his profile by photo, and he just said in the chat, "Sorry, guys." So obviously has audio issues with his. Yeah, he's just fixing it now. Okay, help me out here, guys. Niraj has been saddled with the amalgamation of 4 service websites into the company website. What's the best way to go about this to salvage as much real estate value from the other 4 sites?
Well, I think the first answer in the community from Tony Anisik is correct. Yes, no, no.
Can you elaborate? Because by the time I flick from the question to Tony Anisik's yes, no, no, what's he referring to?
Well, Kumar is asking, do page-to-page redirect is the best way? Yes, that is the best way. The second option is, or should I redirect all not found pages to the home page? The problem there is that if you redirect pages to the home page, Google considers that a soft 404, so you're not solving anything there. It will still, in the eyes of Googlebot, be a 404. And the last one is, or should I create 4 not found pages for the old website and then guide visitors to the relevant pages? Well, that's still serving a 404, so you're not transferring any, let's call it search value to the new pages. So I wouldn't do that. But I would look at the link profile. If there are really spammy links to one of those websites, you might reconsider redirecting, because any bad links pointing to that site might be pointed to the new site.
Yeah.
Did I say that correct, Alistair?
We're getting some action at Alistair's place. I think the camera's on the desk at the moment. There he is. Okay. Have you got volume yet, Alistair? A great many answers to this particular question from Tony Anachik, from Edwin Yonk, and somebody else I saw there. No, it was just Edwin and Tony. Hey, got sound yet, Alistair? It's like walking through the desert, dying of thirst, looking at a mirage. Well, with your permission, guys, we'll hold up on this question because we don't have many tonight. And this question, as both Alistair and Andy and Edwin both pointed out, this question has Alistair's name written all over it. Andy Wigglesworth wants to do a pop quiz. Oh my God. Okay. Well, I think we're almost. I see some action at Alistair's place. Yeah. Okay. We'll move on. Well, we can come back to it anyway. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, as we say every week, we've managed to get through every question. Now we move on to our SEO News weekly roundup. Each week, as topics of interest pop up, we share them to the SEO News community on Google+. And at this time, after all questions are answered, we discuss them. I may have been a bit fierce here. I must admit I shared this article publicly, and most of the responses of the two that did respond were in favour of Google taking over the song lyrics traffic. Anyway, this is titled Google puts song lyrics websites out of business by adding lyrics to the Google search knowledge graph. And this was an article on Phandroid, phandroid.com. Any comments on this one, guys?
No, not really. I mean, obviously, most song lyrics sites are pretty poor and filled with adverts, and they're pretty obviously low content. So I could probably understand why Google wants to move away from them. It's obviously a little bit unfair on the site owners, I guess. But I don't know. Pass.
Well, that's a fairly common response. That was basically the response on Google Plus when I posted it.
Yeah.
Do they just link to Google Play and no other place? I mean, okay, you look for lyrics and it comes up, it expands. Is there a link to Google Play where you can purchase that song?
I think so. I think Google Play is the only one that they're using for this particular rich snippet. Or
I think that would be a problem.
I think so too. Yes.
I don't think they're providing lyrics as such is a huge issue as such, but it is really providing just link to Google Play alone and only Google Play, and that's where I think you might think, not entirely sure whether that's a good thing. I mean, from purely user perspective, getting to the lyrics quite quickly on Google is a good thing. And you may argue that being able to purchase it straight or with minimum fuss is a good thing. But is it a good thing that offer only extends to Google Play? I think that's where the issue is. If you have multiple places where you could purchase that song, for example, different platforms, then I think it might be I might be more supportive of it. But when it is only Google Play, then I think that's not really an ideal situation.
That's what the article is suggesting too. Quote, viewing the search result on my 1080p monitor forces me to scroll down before I'm able to see the first actual listing. So pretty much the article is saying that it is advertisement. But it's an above the fold issue.
Yes, I think that they're pushing the envelope a little bit here.
It's not that different, though.
Hey!
It's not that different, other than the fact that they're siphoning off more traffic again. They're not doing anything different that they're not doing in a lot of other places. That being said, in places like the EU, for instance, they've already lost several court cases where they've been required to provide alternate destination websites for certain types of queries. And I think that this is just another example where if they keep pushing this where the links for lyrics only go into Google Play for a music destination, people are going to take them to court again and say, well, it's anti-competitive, you're abusing your market power, people should be able to go to Google and go off to 5 different websites to buy that particular song. And there's no excuse for Google to not do that. They obviously have got the ability to know that song A is on 10 different landing pages on 10 different music services and link to them accurately. So it's not that they can't do it, they're choosing to not do it until someone cries foul, takes them to court, and then they're forced to do it. That's their pretty much default process for these things. Do it until someone complains and then, appease them accordingly.
Of course, when you consider taking legal action against the biggest gorilla on the planet, and the way the courts function, people can be bankrupted for having the temerity to fight for their rights. That is wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably where certain parts of different legal systems around the world differ to here in Australia. In some instances here in Australia, you could complain to the ACCC, who is the Australian Consumer Competition Commission or something to that effect. And if they feel that your complaint has got merit, they will take the fight up for you, essentially, against whoever it is that you think is being anti-competitive. Whereas that's not necessarily the case in some other parts of the world where the person that's got a grievance needs to fund all of that expense through the court system, which is obviously pretty expensive. So.
And it's not only lyric websites, the songwriters themselves, right? They wrote the song, so this is copyrighted, and they are the owners. I can see a larger issue for Google there, where a group of songwriters pretty much joins a a lawsuit against Google and tries to get money from it. And it's their content, so they should be getting some money from it. No?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, I think you'll find that they are though going to get money out of it, aren't they? If you go to Google Play and buy the song, you're still going to receive a cut of that through the publishing house that you publish your music with, right?
Yes, but it can be divided between songwriter, the singer, and the label. So, and in this case, only the lyrics is published by Google in this case. So, in this case, only the songwriter should get money from it, basically.
But that doesn't happen pretty much any.
But it depends, of course, which contract. It's complicated. But I think that the songwriters have a stronger case than the lyric side.
Yeah, I mean the lyrics themselves are copyrighted to the songwriter. They license them, I guess, to the musician or the singer. Then the singer goes into an agreement with Sony Music as a distributor of their music. The problem here is that the lyrics that go onto a lyric website are being published onto those websites, probably in breach of copyright, depending on how that process might work. I mean, they're obviously not seeking approval from the lyricist to publish the lyrics onto A-to-Z-lyrics.com. So, you know, I suppose a lyricist could choose to have that taken down if he so felt inclined, at which point, arguably, if he did it everywhere, those lyrics wouldn't show up in Google. But he's still not going to get paid for it. Because, you know, there's no mechanism for Google to distribute funds when there's no transactions taking place. This is part of the grievance that, you know, the copyright people in Spain have had, right? They're saying, well, Google's scraping news websites and displaying snippets into Google News is in breach of their copyright and that they shouldn't be doing that. It's kind of the same thing in this scenario, except that in this instance, whoever the someone is, publishes the lyrics into A-to-Z lyrics, then Google scrapes them, and then the lyrics end up directly into Google search results. It's very, very complicated.
Okay, I think we've covered this one. Let's do the final news item for the night, and then we'll come back to the question posed by Niraj Kumar, because while we've got Alistair with us, it's an opportunity to provide a top answer for that issue. All right, this one I thought was a great article by Ashley Fawkes, which was shared by SEMrush, and it was titled for how to find guest posting opportunities, 4 ways to find guest posting gold. It always amazes me that the human brain, how somebody with a little bit of get go in them will come up with ways and means to find, to mine deeply and find the information they want. But of course, at the back of it is the premise that guest posting is still valuable. And of course, didn't we have a quote from somebody about, say, 10 months ago that they put on Twitter, stick a fork in it, let's face it, guest posting is done. Maybe there's still some juice to be extracted. Anybody have time to read this article?
Yeah, I had a skim through it earlier on. I think there's a lot of great places to find opportunities for guest posting. The BuzzSumo one has come up a few times in recent, in recent months or longer even, because the thing that's really nifty about it is, other than it providing you the websites potentially that have got topics on them, which you could obviously get out of Google, it's a great way for you to find out what topics are actually getting shared. So, you could think about writing a topic, a post on a topic, for instance, and it might turn out that when people write that type of content, it just doesn't get shared inside social media. If that's one of your goals, then that's a problem, obviously. And then the other part of something like BuzzSumo is that when you put in the topics that you're interested in, you can find the websites that provide guest posting opportunities for your content. And they might not be the types of sites that show up through places like My Blog Guest from Ann Smarty when it existed, as an example, or other competing guest blogging websites. So I think that's quite cool.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Let's move back, and I'll for Alistair's benefit. I'm not sure if he has his panelist report, but I'll read the question again. It's from Niraj Kumar, and he's asking, what is the best way to merge 4 established websites into one website for boosting brand value? He has 5 websites, A, B, C, D, and E. A is the company website, and the other 4 are various services websites. Management has decided to merge all the services websites into the company website. All websites are ranking well for different keywords. How to plan this consolidation so that the company gains from the other sites links and authority. 1, do page-to-page redirect is the best way. Or 2, or should I redirect all not found pages to the homepage of the company website? Or 3, should I create 4 not found pages for old websites and then guide visitors to the relevant pages? Or would you suggest something different?
Okay, so he was on to the right answer with option 1, which was a page-to-page redirect. So Niraj should redirect A, B, C, D with permanent redirects, so 301 redirects on a page-by-page basis into his company website. That's the first thing. He should make sure that all of the pages that he's redirecting on A, B, C, D and subsequently the URLs he's redirecting to into the company website aren't blocked by robots.txt. Otherwise, Google can't crawl the URLs to either get to the 301 redirect on either sides of the redirect. So that's important. In terms of planning it out, if the services websites, what you probably want to have a look at here is what sort of a logical hierarchy of content you might want within the company website to carry the content of ABCD. For instance, you could have company website /A, company website /B/D/E, and then put all of the content from those respective websites under those folders if you wanted to. Or there might be some overlaps between that content, so you might prune some of it at the same time, not redirect every page to every page. You might send 3 pages out of website A into 1 page into the company website, as an example. You need to use your better judgment here about the type of content that you should carry moving forward, but essentially you should map out the content on each of the services websites, find a corresponding page within the company website to send it to. It's completely okay if you were to carry all of the content across from each of the services websites, it'd be just as okay for you to prune the content and thin it down a little if you don't think that you need all of it, and then put it into a fewer number of pages for each of the services websites. For all of the pages that you choose to not carry across because you don't need an individual page, you could merge them into the fewer pages. If you've got pages that you don't want to redirect into that content, you could send it to the overview page for that service, so /A, for instance, /B. And then if you've got content that you don't want to redirect at all, you could let them 404 on the existing domain, so the services websites. The downside of doing that is that there could be links going into these pages on the services websites that you're choosing to 404, at which point, if they 404, your company website won't get any benefit out of that, because error documents in Google's link graph can't contain PageRank, and then since they're also not being redirected, that equity isn't getting transferred across to company website. So simple answer, I guess, is permanent redirects for all of the service website content into the company website. Plan out the content that you want to carry forward, and then do sensible redirects so that they'd make sense to a user. For instance, if you were a user coming into an arbitrary page on any of the services websites, wherever you end up redirecting them to, make sure it's a good fit. You don't want to send them to a page on the company website that is completely irrelevant. So try and keep it as practical as you can from a user standpoint.
Yep. Role canonical, Alistair, would that have a role to play here?
Yeah, you could, if you wanted to, you could move all of the content or produce all of the content into the company website in whatever format that you want, and then implement rel canonical tags across all of the services websites, so that the rel canonical mirrors what you would do with a redirect if you wanted to. The output of that is going to be basically the same. So Google will process the 301 redirect or the rel canonical tag in a similar fashion. If they deem that the content on page A on the services website versus page A that you redirect it to in the company website are an appropriate match, for instance, then the equity from the redirect or the canonical will ultimately get transferred over to the company page. This is one of the reasons why I mentioned before that you should, one, do the page-to-page redirects, but also that if you aren't doing the page-to-page redirects, that the pages that you do redirect them to are good quality matches. Because if you were to send page A on the services website to essentially an unrelated page in terms of the type of content that's on the page, that's a bad redirect as far as Google's concerned. Like it's an irrelevant redirect, and it provides a poor user experience for customers as well. So you want to avoid that where you can.
Yeah. I see Andy Wigglesworth pointed out in the chat that management deciding to merge the services websites to the company website may have been motivated by the cost of running 5 separate websites. From a technical aspect, and don't think that I'm suggesting for a second that I don't absolutely agree with everything that Alice said, but from a technical point of view, it would be possible after this has all been done, if they do want to eventually drop those websites, they could point the IP address of the services websites, point each one of them to the same IP address as the main company website, have the HT access use HT access to redirect from say services website 1 to the company website URL. In other words, it would of course, you'd also have to implement host headers on the company website so that it did answer for the other 4 domains. That would be a long-term solution once the migration had been done to maintain those links. So I think anyway. Does that have any merit, guys, or Alistair?
Yeah, look, I think you could. Let's say that the cost of management of this was one of the problems. So there's 2 parts to the cost. There's a technical cost, i.e. hosting. Let's assume worst case scenario, and they host, they've got 5 separate web hosting accounts, for instance, and they're each paying a yearly subscription, just as an example. And they really don't need to be paying that. So they could go and get one web hosting account that allows them to host, 100 websites, for instance. I can do that on my personal hosting if I want to. And then just move the 5 services websites into that same account, and they've just saved the yearly hosting costs of those 5 separate ones. So that's one part of it. Doing that in itself means that not only do they lower the cost, the technical cost, there's no risk in that either, in that they're not doing redirects. There's no technical overhead. They just move their hosting over to a new web server. As far as Google's concerned, they, broadly speaking, don't care about that. You can do what you want. So there's very little risk from a migration standpoint that we're talking about in this scenario, which is good. Then the other part of it is an ongoing management cost, where it's costing them too much money or effort or time to maintain 5 separate websites because maybe the content management systems on the other 5 services websites are old and clunky and it takes them too long, or any of those kinds of things. At which point then there's a legitimate reason that they might want to merge them into a newer publishing system that's easier, convenient for them to, edit and create content, and it lowers their ongoing cost of ownership of that asset as well, which is kind of handy. I think to Jim's point, where you move all of the stuff into one host, it's completely okay. You could do all kinds of funky things if you wanted to with mod rewrite or equivalent things like Jim was talking about, or just have just get a web hosting account that lets you host 10 domains, and then you don't even have to worry about the complexities of that. And the cost of doing that in modern web hosting is practically zero, unless you're running some hugely high traffic website. The cost of putting more than one website inside a host these days is practically zero. And then if you were in the scenario where you're running high traffic websites, we shouldn't be having this discussion because you've got other things to be dealing with far more important than this if you're running high traffic websites. Like there's other complications that you would want to be dealing with.
Cool. Well, I think we can call that a wrap for this evening. We're sorry, Alistair. We only had 7 questions and 2 news items tonight, and we've covered them all. And that last one, of course, we just covered exceptionally well. This is like old home week for me, seeing Alistair Lattimore and Andy Wigglesworth. I thought you were both dead.
No, sad. Definitely not.
And you had a big storm at your place last night, Alistair.
Oh, huge one. It didn't last very long, probably only 30 minutes. And a huge amount of rain. In about 30 minutes, we had 2.5 inches of rain, which is, flash flooding type material, that amount of rain that quickly. But the really amazing thing was we had a lightning strike right beside our house. And when I say right beside, I mean literally outside the windows of my bedroom, and it was deafening. My ears were ringing. It was so loud. And despite the fact that I have like heavy blinds in my bedroom to to block the light out, like privacy blinds or whatever, the light of the lightning strike was so bright that it lit the room like bud white through the blinds. It was amazing. And then it ultimately, it must have zapped the phone lines, and my modem and home phone died. So I had to go get new ones today.
Okay. Well, look, we're going to go into green room now, unless anybody has something else that they'd like us to address. I can see that we still have viewers, and we would really like to chat with you once we turn off the public broadcast. I've placed a link directly into this Hangout, both on the actual event page and also in the first item posted in the SEO Questions community on Google+. And we'd love to have you join us. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. We thank you, by the way, for watching us. If you weren't watching us, we wouldn't have a purpose to do this. Anyway, as I said, we'll be back at the same time next week.